Now, if we was holding a liar's contest, I could win.
You could, as long as it sounds good. So, what'd you think of the monument, or all of them now that we've been to them?
Excellent.
Like you got a lot of memories popping up there.
Yep.
You have any you'd like to share at all, or
No, not really.
no, nothing at all?
No.
That airplane.
This fella here, get him in here.
Yeah.
What?
Come on.
We'll have you come stand up here too. We'll interview you also.
They're going to talk to us about something. I don't know what. You do the talking, I'll do the thinking.
Oh, okay. I'm going to start out like, who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third.
Both of you.
So who's going to ask the question?
So what'd you think of the monuments?
Oh, about the monument. It's great. It's great. I enjoyed the Second World War monument better than I did the Korean War monument. You may tell you why?
Yeah, if you would.
The reason why the Korean War memorial was kind of deceiving, because all the rifle squads that I saw there, they had on ponchos, which means that it must have been raining at one time. When I was in Korea and it started raining, the first command was muscle down, so water won't go into the barrel of your rifle or BAR or whatever weapon you had, Sub-Thompson or whatever, wouldn't get rusty with the water going there. That's the idea of turning them upside down. And then you put your poncho over it. And in real life, those ponchos will leak all over the place. You get wet anyway. So that's the deceiving part about the whole thing. They do not have those rifles that muzzle down, and they're wearing the ponchos below their helmet. And when it rains, you got to put it over the helmet to protect the water from going down your neck. That's the reason why I enjoyed the. Now the sayings are all the same that I've heard many times, that freedom, not free and all. That to me is old news. There's nothing different there that most of the Korean veterans. And the Second World War veterans got better things to look at. And of course it was a world war, I can understand that. And that's the other thing that I couldn't understand why there was so much fighting in 3 years during the Korean War, and they never called it a war. and look, we took on the 6 enemies. This is something that a lot of veterans don't know. The 6 enemies were, number one, the Russians that were flying the MiGs, pilots, the North Koreans, the Chinese, and then there was the element, the weather. 30 degrees below zero and 90 to 100 degrees in the summertime. 5. The 6th enemy was the politicians.
The what?
Politicians.
Who? Oh, yeah.
The 6th enemy. Politicians. They would stick their nose into the conflict. Again, it wasn't called a war. General MacArthur had his troops already in China. And Truman got panicked and said, get back, get out of there. We don't want direct conflict with China or Russia.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah.
Did I say enough?
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
How about that?
Yes, sir.
As a man can verify what I said.
You can verify everything that he said?
I don't know. I didn't read what he said. Probably.
I don't know. Maybe. You want to come up here? We'll
What you want
do
to
a little interview from you.
do?
Well, name, rank, anything like that?
Oh, my name is Harry Smith. I'm originally from West Virginia. Where I joined the Army back in 1952, first in 1952. Well, took basic training in Hawaii before it became a state. And then after that, I went into Japan for a couple months. And then from there on into Korea. I picked up 3 points on the gyro, and I gyroed with the point system, the rotator, whatever you want to call it. And I had 3 points to start with. I had to have, suppose I have 36 points, so I had 3 points to start with. I spent eight months and 10 days in Korea. The heaviest FAR I ever got into was someone called FAR, for FAR support, and so they give them the wrong coordinates and it landed right on us. So at the time we was down about 30 miles from the front line at a place where President, well, he was a candidate at the time, Eisenhower was going to, was running for president. Are you getting it? Yeah. But Eisenhower was running for president, so he was going to come over there and visit the boys for, and get them out of there by December, so he said. So my dad told me, in the letter, don't worry, son, you're going to be out of there by December because Ike's going to come over there and visit y'all. And see, I come back, he told me, I told you Ike was going to. I said, yes, Dad. I said, the front lines that he visited, I said, we took time out from the front lines and moved back 30 miles and built them ourselves, with FAR coming in and around us from our own troops while we was building them, because we're giving the wrong coordinates. So, but anyway, we survived it all and got back home safely, and that's really what it's all about. I was proud to be a soldier, and the only thing I regret is too old to be back in there. I would gladly be back in there and take another shot of it if I could. So that's about all I got to say. I did get out of there. We spent 5 years in there. I had 2 other brothers. Each one of them took a tour in Korea. One of them got shot up pretty bad, but he survived. Lived several years. And anyway, that's about all I have to say. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
So Melvin, where did you serve?
Kwajalein, the Pacific. I'm probably one of the younger World War II veterans. I got in just after the big bomb went off. So I got in there in '46. I did not see any fighting, but I did get to see one atomic bomb blast. They were still testing those after the big one went off. One morning just at daylight. It was just like lightning across the sky. I was away from it a long distance. I had no danger, but just like lightning at daylight. I did later get to go over as security forces as close as we could get to, I guess, habitation for ground zero or ground water, whatever you want to. It was zero. It was on an island. And spent some time there in the security forces, so I'm classified as a World War II veteran, Army, atomic veteran. But these boys got stories that I don't know. But I do know something about this country. It's a great country. I got in, of course, to get the GI Bill and the education. Otherwise, I never got out of the hills of Tennessee. So I got my GI Bill and went to the university and got a degree in engineering. And I went to work for Standard Oil of New Jersey in Venezuela, South America, under a blood and guts dictator. Within a few days after I got down there, the Americans got me out behind the barn and told me the facts of life. What I'd better do and not do if I was going to survive under that dictator. The biggest and first thing they told me was, if you get in trouble, don't go to the American consulate. They'll feed you to the wolves. Go to the British consulate. Now, it's a hell of a thing to say about your own country. But anyway, they said if you don't make it to the British consulate, they told me how to go out of camp, how many miles to go on the vehicle, and park it, abandon it, stumble around through the edge of the jungle till you find a path. Said it is a path. Said you follow it and you'll go down to a river, and there's a man down there with a boat. Gave him a few believers, he'll run you over to Trinidad. But then you go to the British consulate, but not the Americans. I lived down there 3 years through a revolution under that old dictator. I know what we've got here. I stayed, as I say, I lived through a revolution. I can tell stories about voting under that dictator. You want to hear them? You want to another time?
Sure, send us one of them.
Of course, that old dictator controlled everything in the end of a gun barrel. Him and his troops. And the only communications with the outside world was open wire telephone line from the military camp to somewhere, I don't know where it was. Radio communications, I was in communications, not like you know it now. We did good to get from one camp to another with radio. And we got a newspaper once a week. Of course, it was controlled. All of our mail was censored. But we got the idea that there's some rumbling, some discontent. And sure enough, the old dictator come out one day, said he'd hold a voting to see if the people liked him or not. I think the word they called it was plebiscite. You need to check that with some Spanish, I think. But he's going to hold a voting to see if they liked him or not. And of course, the Americans were warned to stay away from the polls. Don't get involved. Alrighty. The day of the voting, I went to the office and sat at my desk, and there was a Venezolano had a desk adjoining me. I asked him if he was going to vote. He said, nearly got to, but I got no way to get to the polls. Barlow said, I'll take you. I've got a car. I'll drive you over there. I stuck my foot in my mouth then. Anyway, I drove him over there. And we got to the voting place. There was guns and uniforms everywhere. Anyway, we drove up the street there, and there was a building, kind of what we'd call a duplex. It's all one building with a door on this end and a door on that end. And they had to go in. I let him out. I was the friendliest critter you ever saw with all those guns and troops around there. Oh man, I used all the Spanish I knew. Good Spanish. I mean, it had to be good. Anyway, he went in the door on this voting place. In a little bit, he came out on the other end and said, let's get out of here. And I asked him what went on in there. He said when he went in the door, they handed him 2 cards, a green card and a red card. A green card and a red card. That's the way he's supposed to vote. And he said the next one was a table with a office waste paper can. Had you dropped in there what the card you were not voting, red or green, says which one do you think I dropped in there? And the next one was a table with a box, a square box with a slot in it. That's where you voted. Says which one do you think I put in there? Well, they didn't want nobody to vote twice. They weren't completely stupid. So how do you do it where there's that kind of illiteracy in voting like that? The next stop was a purple inkwell. Purplish violet type of dye. You couldn't, and I'd been exposed to it before. You couldn't get it off with a wire brush. Had to stick his finger up to knuckles and get it dyed. That way he wasn't going to vote twice, was he? Okay, that's fine. No trouble. You can vote. No voting registration or nothing. What happened the next day, though, after the voting? The people that did not have the finger died. A lot of them were hauled off in that cattle cart, so we never saw them again. Anyway, the old dictator came out, you know, everybody was for him. You bet. And I don't know how many months after that it was that they had the revolution. But it was a shooting, blood and guts revolution. But I, of course, like I was in the oil compound, was quite isolated from the action. Although I did take a 6-pack of beer in the closet with me, kept it till everything was over. I wasn't no dummy. But after that, then the lawlessness and this and that and so forth, I got fed up with it, and I decided to get out of it. So I left, and within 60 days from the time I left Venezuela, I was in Alaska. I got away from it. But it's an experience that, as I say, I saw another country under a dictator. I know what this country is compared to that.